Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Andrea and I have been selling on Etsy for 8 years. This YouTube channel is just where we talk about Etsy strategy, my experience on Etsy, and just overall my, journey as a small business owner and seller on Etsy. So if you are interested in that, you are in the right place. Today specifically, we are going to be talking about something that I've never talked about, and honestly, it's gonna be like a really personal feeling video, I think, which I'm not like, I don't know. In some ways I feel like I'm very open, in other ways I feel like I'm really not, but this is gonna be a video that's very personal and we are going to have an honest conversation about burnout. So if you've been watching some of my videos recently on this channel, you would know that we are about to experience like some big changes in 2023. So for one, a personal life change is that we are about to become parents, and by we I mean me and my husband. I'm pregnant with our first kiddo, and so that will be a huge change in 2023, of course, is that we are going to become parents. And then also that my business, like this Etsy business that I run, which is an embroidery business, if you are unfamiliar, is about to go through a lot of changes. So yeah, a lot of personal and business changes coming in 2023 for us. And yeah, so that is super excited, but I do want to go back as we kind of start this story of how all of this kind of came up. To this year's busy season. So if you're unfamiliar, like I mentioned, we do embroidery, so we sell clothing, and November and December are our two busiest months of the year. It's like 45% of revenue is done in that portion of the year, I think. So like almost half of our revenue and orders are coming in only 2 months of the year. And so it is very busy for us. And it just so happened that this past year, I made a video about it on this channel. This past year, I was pregnant, and the morning sickness of my first trimester overlapped literally perfectly with our 4 busiest weeks of the year. Like my 4 worst weeks of morning sickness, which truthfully, all things considered, the morning sickness wasn't that bad, but combined with it being like in my busy season was really, it was just a lot. And so it was very tiring. It wasn't so much like, obviously we were overjoyed to be pregnant. We were thrilled. We had miscarried before this. And so just like, of course, wouldn't trade it for the world. That's not what I'm saying at all, but it was just a little bit tough to do busy season and manage first trimester exhaustion and just feeling pretty nauseous all at the same time. And so that just made it to where busy season was a little bit rough. So that's kind of where this story starts. And then as we kind of moved out of busy season, moved into the second trimester of this pregnancy, we got my energy back, of course. Like January is still really busy for us, but February is more or less dead. It's like a total drop off in sales, like to the point where it's so predictable that we have grown to depend on it in business. It's where I save my projects for. And so as we were moving into that season, like moving into second trimester, getting some energy back and slower season, I was feeling really good about the work life. Yeah, I feel like that's I was feeling pretty good about work life, what we were gonna do, our plans for the year. And it was whenever we had time to actually like think about what we wanted it to be. And I was feeling pretty energized and really good. So like that was probably during like January-ish, and I was feeling pretty good. I was ready to get back at it, pick up some projects, all of those sorts of things. Cause like during busy season, literally all I did was sew and sleep, like, and eat. Like that was it. And so I was really excited to get back at it, and it worked until it didn't. And then it would work and then it wouldn't. And I felt like I was in this like 2-week cycle of feeling good for like 13 days. And then one day I would just feel completely overwhelmed and stressed, and like I couldn't spin all the plates that needed to be spun. Like I was like, it just felt like there was too much going on. And I also knew like in the back of my mind that like if there's too much going on now in my slower season, I don't know how we're gonna manage it all when we are in a busier season, because I mean, like, end of January, February are truly our slowest season of the year. So I felt like it was just a lot of plates to spin. And I don't want to be cryptic ever. I don't ever want to be like a person that's like, my life, like, and like not sharing with you guys. Like, if I choose to talk about it, I will share with you guys. The plates in my life that we keep spinning are my embroidery business, managing the home, like just meal planning and cooking and cleaning and all the things that it takes to have a life, basically. I don't know, like managing home, and this YouTube channel where I share like education on Etsy with you guys. One quick thing before we move on in this conversation that I do want to note, and there's like a lot of, I don't know, this is a very personal video. One thing I do want to note is that time, like hours and minutes, are not my problem. It's never been my problem. As you can imagine, I am currently small business owner with no kids. It's not finding the hours in a day that are the problem. It's finding the energy. And I know that like part of that is because like I'm pregnant and so energy is lower. I do like really try and eat healthy to gain energy and all that kind of stuff. But it's really, if I had to be 100% honest with you guys, it's like mental energy of like keeping all sorts of like pretty big plates spinning at the, like, you know what I mean? And so it's not hours in a day. It's like mental energy and just energy overall. And then on top of that, of course, I'm thinking like, okay, so this works for 2 weeks and then it doesn't. And then I am really stressed and I'm thinking like, what is going to happen when we have a kid? Because my primary role, like we have decided as a family that we want my primary role to be a mom, like a stay-at-home mom, and kind of like lean into that, and where the highest priority is mothering. And so because of that, I'm thinking like, what are we gonna do whenever we add the biggest piece? Like, I just know, because I have older sisters, 2 of which have children, and they both say like the first one can really rock your world, like, because at 0 to 1, like your life really, really changes. And I don't want to like underestimate that and be like, it'll be fine. Like, whenever I know that like if we started making changes now, we could have a much better experience mothering and parenting our children. So, or our child. So, yeah, I'm like staring it down and I'm thinking to myself, like I went through like a month-long span of like thinking, okay, we need to do something before we have a child. And if you are watching this with like, I feel a little bit bad saying this, but if you are watching this with like a high and mighty feeling of like, well, I guarantee you she's not as busy as me, you're probably right. I'm probably not. Okay. Like, but the thing is that I don't want to be like, maybe that sounds really bad. Maybe it sounds really privileged, but I don't want to live my life in a way that's just on to the next thing all the time, busy, busy, busy chaos, because I don't function well in that environment. And so I just know what we need to do for our lifestyle goals and our family. And so if you are judging me based on the fact that you might have way more going on, kudos to you for being able to spin all the plates. I just can't. And so this is just a decision that we have to make for what we want our lifestyle to look like. Obviously, as we were trying to decide what we were going to do, just about like, all we knew is that it was too much. Like, we just didn't know. We didn't know what the solution was, but we just knew that like something maybe needed a shift, whether it be my routines and not drop anything or drop something or whatever. We just knew that we needed to have a conversation. And by we, I mean me and my husband. And so obviously as this like month long of like knowing that we need to do something, but like just not dedicating the time to talk, it's happening. There's a lot of factors at play. So like my lease ends at my shop where we currently rent out. It's going to end in a couple months. A building project to move the embroidery studio was like in the midst. Obviously finances are at play, goals that we have for how we want our family to function. She's coming in July at some point. So there was a lot at play whenever a lot was cooking. Like whenever it was stirring in my brain, there was a lot going on. And finally, one day I was just extremely exhausted. I'm gonna pull my notes in front of me just so I can kind of glance at them. One day I was extremely exhausted and I was like, okay, we need to have a discussion and it needed to happen today. Like we were like, we just need to put off talking about this. Another thing that was stirring in my mind, which I've talked about on this channel, was the prospect of print on demand. So, but basically like all of this stuff is culminating. And so I was like, we need to talk about how we're gonna fix this problem. And I think literally like I don't know. I told him, I was like, I think I'm really burned out from the embroidery side of my business. I was like, I think that I'm just burned out from the embroidery side. And there are a lot of things that make me excited and energized and like very, very like ready to go, and embroidery is not one of them. And I literally sat on the couch and Googled, what does burnout look like for a small business owner? And all of the thoughts that I was having and all of like kind of the feelings I was having were like staring me back in my face. And I was like, okay, so maybe I'm just like feeling really, really burnt out. And so I just quickly made a list on the couch of like options that we had, like what are our options that we have, and I made a pros and cons for like each option. So like for each, I did like a very typical like when you're making a decision, because we were in the phase of like, at that point we had been like, okay, not that like, no, we weren't struggling by any means, but I was just like, okay, something needs to get done, especially before we have a kid. And I like to be proactive about this kind of stuff. So yeah, and I just quickly made a pros and cons list of all the decisions, and my husband came out from his office and we chatted about each option and pros and cons. So the options that we had come up with were like, basically of the things that do bring me energy, like sharing Etsy education on this YouTube channel brings me so much energy. I love doing it. Anything home related, I absolutely love to do. I love to garden. I love to clean. I genuinely enjoy it. I like cooking and stuff. And like the prospect of passive income really brings me a lot of energy. So basically we were looking at my days and saying like, okay, what is taking time but not giving energy? And it was really, really clear after like 15 minutes of talking. And this has been something that we have tossed around for months. So I don't want you to act like we just made a decision based on one feeling where I was feeling exhausted and we just did something. It was an educated opinion. This has been something that we have been talking about for almost a year now. We decided that the embroidery side of my business has to go. And it feels really, really weird to admit this online. Like I might chicken out and not even post this video because I'm just like, are we sure? Are people gonna judge me? But we are sure. As I move into a completely new role as a mom, we just know that this is what needs to happen. And so yeah, I'm gonna kind of answer some questions that you're probably thinking right now. So the one thing is that no, we are not leaving Etsy completely. We will be replacing listings with print on demand. So I am so stoked. As soon as we made that decision on the couch, I like ran off and I was like, okay, great. Like time to get going on print on demand. I'm super excited about this possibility. And I made some designs. And so I'm going to share that with you guys, that whole process. But yeah, we just decided that it would be best for our lifestyles and our everything to scale back on the actual handmade products and move into more passive income while still being on Etsy. You might be thinking you're insane. It just made the most sense. And everyone that we talk to that has a fuller picture or a very full picture of what our lives look like, what we want to do, all of those sorts of things, people that I am very, very open with and share a lot with, were like, yeah, I think this is a really, really good idea. It just made a lot of sense. If not for the least of which that it is the least energizing part of my job, thinking about print on demand, working for print on demand, making YouTube videos, being a like keeper of the home is something that those are all things that bring me a lot of energy. And actually filling embroidery orders is not. And it was one of those things where I really do truly enjoy being on Etsy. I love Etsy for the, not only like the money it brings in, of course, but also the like, I just like it. It's very, very fun to me. It's a fun job. The strategy involved, I enjoy it, and I really enjoy sharing it on here with you. And so whenever the opportunity of doing print on demand, keeping the shop, running my business like normal, and also getting rid of the touch every product that goes out the door presented itself, I felt like it was foolish to not not capitalize, but not leap towards that opportunity because it works so well with our lives. Okay, so that's that. I might absolutely regret this decision. I might say that was the worst decision I've ever made. I might want it all back. I don't know. But as of right now, it feels really, really good. It feels so energizing. It feels just exactly like what we needed as a family, what we will need as a family as our roles change so much. So yeah. In April, we will be closing down just the embroidery side of my business. I hope this isn't confusing. I will still be posting here. I will still be an Etsy seller. It will just be different products. That's it. It's just the embroidery side that's going down. Just different products, still sharing YouTube content, keyword strategies, of course, because of course I plan to take that into my print on demand business. So yeah. Depending on how much I want to share and how much you guys want to know, I might make a video just about plans for my business as we move forward. But that's pretty much all we have right now. I was just feeling extremely burnt out on the embroidery specifically. And yeah, I hope that this isn't like coming as I don't know. I hope this is encouraging to you that if you are in a space where like you are feeling like, okay, I am spinning too many plates or I am just not energized by a certain part of my job, that you can make a decision that will be better for your lifestyle. So obviously this is like, I don't know how it's going to go at all. You guys can join me on this channel if you'd like to tune in later and find out how it goes. But as of right now, that's the decision that we've made, and we are really excited, and we feel like it's best for all the goals that we have. We feel like this is the best decision to make. So yeah, that is, I guess, news. I feel like that's news that we're like shutting down the embroidery side. Still be on Etsy. I will still be on Etsy, but the embroidery side's gonna go. And yeah, we're gonna, I guess, sell the machines. I'm gonna keep some, I think. But yeah, if you guys are interested in hearing more about the plans or you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Please be nice, because don't be mean. Obviously, I don't need to tell you why you should be nice, because it's a good thing to be nice. So yeah, that is what I find a very, very exciting, refreshing, freeing decision. And yeah, that is that. That's my honest conversation about burnout and what we decided to do about it as a family. So all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for being on this channel. Do expect videos and all the things moving forward. That's not going anywhere. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. And if you're new here, I hope you choose to subscribe, because we normally talk about Etsy strategy, my Etsy journey like this, and we post 2 videos a week. So thank you so much for watching.